it's causing us to talk about it now, so maybe that's where the value comes from. I don't know. But my point is, getting back to the issue here, that was not why I brought this up, but it is relevant in this sense. When you listen to that encounter, what are you truly thinking through the worldview that you're bringing to what you're hearing? Can you filter out your prejudices? Can you filter out, and this is what concerns me most, folks, and this is where I have felt convicted over the past number of years. It's far too easy for many of us to let our prejudices determine what we hear and what someone is saying. I know that person disagrees with me on such and such a topic, and therefore I heard them say this. I get this all the time. I get this constantly in social media. I get it. I mean, I see stuff on my Twitter feed that absolutely leaves me dumbfounded. I will say something and I thought it was clear what I was saying, and someone will respond and I'm just like, how did you get that from what I said? And sometimes I don't respond appropriately. I think sometimes the best thing you do is just hit block real quick and just allows for peace. But if I do take the time to think it through, or if I can find out something about the person, sometimes it is educational to figure out why they heard me say what they think I said. And almost always, well, for example, there's anti-Calvinist derangement syndrome, where a Calvinist can't say anything that has any meaning whatsoever, can't do anything that's right. Roman Catholics will hear me saying things in a certain way. Mormons will hear me saying things in a certain way. I get that. If I've said your religion is wrong, I get it. But when it's my fellow believers, then it gets a little troubling. It gets strange as to why for so many there is no extension of any grace, no extension of any possibility, and it all comes down to just such little things. I mean, sometimes it is eschatology. And I'm going to tell you something. If I ever get to the point where I won't listen to what someone who has a different eschatology from me has to say, that doesn't mean I'm going to ignore it. It doesn't mean that remember, 2 years ago or so, of the one post-millennial guy, name is skipping my mind because I wasn't even thinking about going this direction today. It was about 2 Timothy, and things get worse and worse, and so on and so forth. And we had a real disagreement as to whether this was going to be the normative state of the church or whether it was just a temporary thing. Hey, I could not engage in a discussion of the exegesis of that text without recognizing this person is bringing a post-millennial perspective to it. And is that determining the exegesis, or the exegesis determining the eschatology? That's important. But at the same time, if that man is talking about so many other things, am I just going to dismiss him because I disagree with him on that one issue? For a lot of people, yes. For a lot of Christians, yes. If they don't look like me, if they don't sing the same songs I do, and don't get me wrong, it's wonderful when I get to go overseas and go into a congregation where we're singing the same songs and things. That's wonderful. But it's not necessary. It's a wonderful thing, but if someone sings different songs, well, maybe you'll get to learn a different song. I just realized, by the way, I'm badly pixelated over here, and that now it helps me understand why I look weird. Still bad. What I'm saying, I guess, I guess I'm going back over ground now, and so I'll try to move on. I had a video to move to here, but in all of this, my fellow elder a week ago exhorted us from the pulpit that especially at this time where there are political issues, that we need to extend tremendous grace to our fellow believers who may support candidates that we do not support. Now, I'm having a little bit of a hard time with that myself these days, to be perfectly honest with you. But there are men in my own congregation that support one particular candidate that I, for the life of me, cannot begin to figure out how anyone ever could. Okay? There's one particular candidate, I just view the man as a complete demagogue. As a person who values consistency throughout one's life, you can sort of guess who I'm talking about. And you can sort of guess who I like because of consistency throughout life as well. You know, it's pretty easy. But, I cannot allow that to cause me to show disrespect to my fellow believers. Now, I've gotten a lot of that from this particular politician's followers, and I've been blocking a lot of people because they tend to be extremely sensitive, and they tend, like their candidate, to be profane in their language. And I've always said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And if you want to stop a conversation with me, throw profanity in. That'll pretty much do it. But hey, I'm struggling with that issue myself, and maybe I'm just preaching to the choir here. But a year from now, this is going to be over. And personally, I don't see almost any positive outcome in any scenario at all. I mean, wow. Bernie Sanders? Really? Honestly? I'm seeing Bernie Sanders signs all along my running route in my neighborhood. And every time I run by, I'm sorely tempted